Detective Smith shows up at Mrs. Nelson's mansion. She's one of those old, rich, still kinda cute ladies. Her butler, Arnold, is waiting at the door. He takes Detective Smith to a terrace, where he sees a good-looking lady in a wheelchair. She has a tube in her nose, attached to an oxygen cylinder. Mrs. Nelson was very sick.
I don't have much time left in this world. I'm in kind of a rush.
Detective Smith couldn't help but think this would be his weirdest case so far. This weekend, the whole family's coming to the mansion to say goodbye to Mrs. Nelson. Her son, Jacob, and wife, Lucy, they live in the city. Her nephew, Rick, an avid world traveler. And the young orphan, Natalie. Mrs. Nelson has been taking care of her for the last 20 years.
I haven't heard from them for years. I'm sure they're just here to get their inheritance and help me figure out who the most decent one is.
They agree Detective Smith will pretend to be a distant relative, so no one gets too suspicious. It's lunchtime. Mrs. Nelson kicks off the small talk, asking where everybody spent their winter holidays. Everybody whips out their phones. I spent 2 amazing weeks in the Alps.
Like skiing, so I stayed home, had a little college reunion.
New Year in India was quite remarkable.
You look so nice in that cute hat. Dunno. As for me, I like my winters nice and hot. Look, that's me on safari in Kenya.
Detective Smith noticed something suspicious. He kept his poker face on though. Right after lunch, a storm breaks. Jacob takes his mom to her bedroom for a nap. Lucy and Rick head to the living room to play cards. Natalie sneaks out, something about needing some time alone. Detective Smith follows her, walking outside in a storm? Interesting. She's getting in a cab. What is she up to? The detective jumps in his car and follows her to a hotel. He tiptoes to the window and looks inside. Natalie's just leaving reception with a key in her hand. She heads for the elevator. Smith follows her, but he's suddenly distracted by the antique shop in the lobby. Ooh, a mint-condition chatelaine clock. Expensive. But wait a second, why are all the clocks showing different times? Clever. Antique clocks are usually very loud. If they all had the same time, they would all go off at once. So they put them on different times. Divide and conquer. Smith digs in for a good old-fashioned stakeout. Who's Natalie meeting in secret? Hey, wake up, detective! Natalie's leaving! Smith opens his eyes. He took a 1-hour nap. Whoops, it even stopped raining. After a little bit of cursing, he heads back to the mansion. He parks his car just as it was before. What's up, buddy? Did I scare you? Sorry. You just keep right on warming yourself up on the hood of Jacob's car. Wait a sec. Wasn't it parked the other way earlier? Back in the living room. Lucy and Rick are still playing cards. But isn't there something wrong? They're holding the cards in a weird way. That's the clue to solve the riddle. In the evening, Jacob and Lucy come downstairs, all dressed up. Their favorite opera singer is performing tonight. They're going. Even though Jacob has a huge headache. Lucy looks pretty yummy in that dress. At least Smith thinks so.
Here you go, honey. This'll help your headache.
Jacob looks at the clock and promises to be back in a few hours. That chatelaine clock looks so familiar. Where did I just see it? 10 minutes pass. What's Lucy doing here? She looks worried and out of breath. She says Jacob was driving. He started breathing heavily and lost consciousness. The car rammed into a huge puddle of mud. They didn't have their phones on them, so Lucy had to climb out of the car and run back to the mansion. Everything goes wild. Natalie's spooked and she starts to cry. Arnold the butler grabs his cell and runs out to find Jacob. Smith decides to follow him. But wait, where's Lucy going? Oh, apparently she needs to change her clothes? A puddle of mud, you said?
Yeah, a huge one.
What kind of mud doesn't stick to your clothes, thought Smith. He already knows who's been lying this whole time. Did you figure it out yet? Pause the video and write your thoughts in the comments. Who's hiding something? Who should inherit Mrs. Nelson's money? Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Okay, let's get back to it. It's the next day. Smith is having coffee with Mrs. Nelson on the terrace.
I got a call from the hospital today. Jacob's gonna be fine. That's my news. Do you have any news for me, detective?
I'm sorry to tell you this, ma'am, but it looks like all your family members are liars. When they showed their vacation pics, Rick showed a photo from India, but there's no snow there this time of year. He was actually with Lucy. She was just pretending not to like skiing to get away from her husband. Plus, how they were acting in their card game, there's definitely something going on there. And Natalie's having an affair with Jacob. They met up at a local hotel. Otherwise, why would Natalie hide where she was going? And Jacob just randomly bought a chatelaine clock from a shop at the same exact hotel? Not likely. Remember when Detective Smith drove back to the mansion? Jacob's car was parked differently. Oh, and the cat was warming itself up on the hood. The car had been driven recently. So what happened next? Lucy found out about her husband and decided to take revenge. She gave him a pill right before they left for the opera. Pretty sure it wasn't just a painkiller. Then she crashed their car into a puddle of mud, but her dress and shoes were totally clean. Mrs. Nelson listens to Smith, but she looks tired and upset. Though weirdly, she doesn't seem too surprised. She pays him as she promised. Detective Smith out. A month later, Detective Smith is reading the paper. Mrs. Nelson passed away. The detective smiles. He knows who got all her money. Her devoted butler, Mr. Arnold Shrink.